All right, welcome back to our podcast feed here, Texas Progressive Family, PP Family. We really appreciate you guys hanging out as always. Progress Texas podcasting director Chris Mosier here. We have, I believe, the entire gang, the six principals of Progress Texas. We're all here for a new product that we're trying out for the first time here. We call it In Progress, and this essentially is what? An opportunity for us to vent, really, is what this is. And it just so happens that as we go to try out this brand new, group discussion and kind of attempt to personally connect with what's happening in Texas politics, it happens to be happening on the day after one of the most depressingly dejecting things to happen in the Texas state capitol in a long, long time. Of course, we are talking about the passage in the Texas House of Senate Bill 2, the private school voucher bill that Governor Abbott has gone to truly enormous, historic lengths to get this thing through against his own party, against the will of the voters, in order to create a situation where your tax dollars, 1 billion of them at least, for starters, is the way I understand this, are going to end up going towards vouchers for private schools, into the pockets, ostensibly, to provide school choice is the way they like to frame it. What we know about getting into private school, it's not easy to do. It's not just about affording it. It's about whether or not you meet their standards, which are not according to anything that any public school is able to make a call on for individual students. They don't have to let you in, is what I'm saying, even if you have a voucher in your pocket. So it's become something that the Democrats have fought hard against for a long time. The fight is definitely not over quite yet. So we're here to kind of discuss that and talk about how we're feeling on a morning that is a little bit, it's a dark one for Texas progressives, but there are still options for fighting back. And so let me first go to Executive Director Kathleen Thompson. Kathleen, how are you feeling this morning about it?
I'm pissed. Like that grandpa in Iowa who was yelling at Senator Grassley.
Right.
I feel really bad for the students who have no political power, who don't get to have a say in their communities yet. Here in North Texas, we have schools going to 4-day school weeks because they just don't have the funding as it is now, before we even take away more public school money and give it to private schools that do not have to comply with allowing everyone with their disability, with learning lapses, they can pick and choose. So it's not parents choosing, it's private schools that are going to choose. And I'm really concerned about the learning loss that's going to come when your classroom has 40 kids, not 22, and when your kid has school 3 days a week. So does mom have to stay home? I mean, there are ramifications that just reverberate through our society because public schools are the foundations of our communities. And it's bad for business. It's going to be bad for our future. And as a public school mama, I'm mad as hell. Let's keep the conversation going. Sam Gonzalez, why don't you weigh in?
I don't know why you'd kick it to me next, because I'm also mad. And also Sam Gonzalez, Digital Director of Progress Texas. Greg Abbott hates children. That's the only thing I take from this, because, okay, you don't want to fund their public schools. You don't want to let them identify as they want in schools. You don't want to let them read in schools. You don't want to protect them from getting shot in schools. You don't want them to do anything other than read the Bible, I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know what the end game is here. We have so much money in Texas. We're in a surplus. We have all the money from all the good things in life, and we're using it to give billionaires more money? What are we doing? Or rather, not what are we doing? What are they doing? Because I'm not doing it. I'm not saying, hey, we should give billionaires more money and give everybody a school choice of $10,000 in money and make sure that all of those private institutions are $11,000, just enough so I can't go, or my students can't go, or my kids can't go, or my nieces and nephews can't go. What are they doing? What's the end game? What's the goal? I don't know. But all I know is that Greg Abbott clearly does not like Texas people. I think they're called Texans, but what other reason? Was a Pennsylvanian billionaire just going like, I want to build more private schools. You got it, buddy. So I'm going to pass it to Haley before I say more crazy things. Haley, what do you think of this?
Hi, everybody. What a coincidence. I'm pissed too. I'm digital associate here at Progress, Texas. And going back to what you're saying about the billionaires is that like what gets me about this whole situation is that nobody wants this, nobody thought of this, and nobody's advocating for this except for people that have money to make off of it. Like when did something like public education become a commodity? It's mind-boggling to me. And like you said, these are the fabric of our communities. I grew up in a small town. I can't imagine half the population of that school going off to like some Christian private school 20 minutes over. We wouldn't have Friday night lights. We wouldn't have bake sales. We wouldn't have garage sales. Like this is just something that makes up not just who we are as people, but specifically who we are as Texans. And to just like cut it up and sell it for parts is just, it's depressing. When did we give up on our public schools? These should be something that we should be proud of.
Yeah. When did we sell them? It's not a business. It's not a luxury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say more, Tatum.
Yeah. So I am pissed. I'm also excited to be starting up this new segment. We started this because our staff meetings kept going long. It's a team of chatterboxes, communication. And so we thought it'd be great for to subject y'all to it. So now it's your turn to listen. Yeah, I was at the Capitol yesterday. Basically went all day long, and I was there for the Youth Capital takeover led by Texas Freedom Network, Move Texas, a ton of other youth-led or power orgs. So it was a really, I feel, unique perspective to be in the Capitol at that moment. There was a ton of young people that were rallied there and just as pissed as the rest of the people on this call, except they didn't have they didn't feel that they had the means to do anything about it except for show up and protest. I think that it's a tragedy that Greg Abbott thinks he can sell out our schools because he wanted to deliver on a promise to billionaire money. Like we mentioned, Pennsylvania, like out of state interests that he has ensured after special session and after voting out, putting money to elect people that he knew would put in vouchers, 2 years worth of his own trouble that we've all been subjected to. So not happy about it. I know that there are tons of great people that are public education advocates, as we saw at the Capitol yesterday. Wear red for ed. It was like a sea of red at the Capitol. So many people standing up.
I watched till about midnight last night, and at that time you could see on the faces of the Democratic lawmakers who were continuing to try to put in amendments and continuing to try to fight back. You know, you could just see kind of the exasperation on their faces. But I also want to definitely shout out Jolanda Jones and Gina Hinojosa and Aaron Zwiener, who were the three that happened to testify or happened to get up there, you know, while I was watching last night, and just thank them for continuing to fight. And so that's something that, you know, absolutely has to continue to happen in that building. Let's go over to Reagan Stone, who hasn't got to speak yet. Hi, Reagan.
Hey guys, thanks for inviting me on the new pod here. I'm sitting in the same boat as y'all, sitting out in a small West Texas town that we have a public school, independent school district, and a couple of very small Christian schools. In fact, one of them was raising funds. They're going to be selling, or rather auctioning off, some guns in the name of Trump freedom. And so that's going to be the schools that are going to be funded with public dollars now, your dollars. But I do want to note one thing that is different from weeks prior, even just days prior. The entire Texas Democratic Party staff, the new chair, Kendall Scudder, was there the entire night, sitting outside of the House gallery. Even after they closed off the gallery and the floor to visitors, they were reporting on socials. They were out there letting us know what was happening in real time. I want to call out one Democrat and a few others that I think, they're not always the most notorious progressives, but I'll give props to Representative Dutton. To be honest, he had the First Amendment up there that was offered by a Democrat, and he positioned his argument that the bill is literally going to fund the majority of those funds are going to go to families that make up to 500% over the poverty levels. That's about $150,000, $160,000 a year in combined income in a family. And then the rest can go to anybody. It's universal. So millionaires, billionaires, everybody and their mother can apply to those funds. And he said, Greg Abbott, his first videos in advertising this universal school choice, as they put it, was showing families that are having the hardest times in, typically their urban school districts of getting their kids a great education. Some of the most, marginalized communities. And he wanted to refocus it on those folks. And, props to Representative Dutton for bringing that amendment to try to lower that threshold, and also X off the threshold of folks making above a certain amount as well. Of course, it failed. But at the same time, I think that was a really neat thing to get to see out of the Democrats of trying to refocus that on the most marginalized communities. I could see a bill like this for disabled, students or for extremely marginalized communities being able to be argued and truthfully understood on the House floor. But, us giving these free tax dollars to schools that are auctioning off guns and to anybody's family who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's going to be a waste of money. And I think it's going to be seen like that in history, and hopefully a really good place for us to be able to gain some ground in the Texas House and future elections.
And the part that really irks me is that Democrats also positioned a chance for this to be heard by the people in the November election.
Right.
They wanted the people of Texas to be able to voice their direct opinion on school vouchers. And they said no, because they're afraid. I posted something on our Instagram. Go follow us on Instagram, Progress Texas. And it was the fact that the congressional district out in Houston's being taxed without representation. And people were like, oh my God, that is such a gerrymandered district.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They don't have a representative until November. It's because they're afraid. And this is that time where I remind people that you can't sit when it's election time. You can't twiddle your thumbs and go, everyone's the same, because not everyone's the same. Some people want you to have a voice and some people don't. The Democrats usually want you to have a voice. The Republicans usually don't want you to have a voice. And they've shown it every time. Every time they have a chance. I'm going to go a little soapboxy. I was up at 2 a.m. when it happened. And I was wondering, we have billions and billions of surplus money. What if we gave all of that money to schools? What if we did? What if we just said, you know what? A kid in Texas that goes to a public school wants for nothing. We're talking iPad for every kid. Oh, they stole it. Cool. We'll buy another iPad for them. So now they have one at home and one in school. Books that are not torn at the seams. Crayons, glue, paper, binders, online resources, training for teachers that are paid well, teachers that are paid so well that people want to go to school to become a teacher again.
Right, right.
After school programs, band with a fully stocked set of instruments, a choir teacher, a librarian that's not banning books, that has more books than more kids could even check out. Could you, food that is quality and nourishing and good, and not the square pizza with the square pepperoni that we got served when I was a kid? Don't get me wrong, delicious, but I don't think pepperonis are supposed to be square. I don't think that's how they were designed. Pizza boat is not a way pizza should be eaten anyway. But like, imagine we can have that very easily.
Right.
Very easily.
40% of the budget went to it this session. Yeah.
Right. And they did pass a budget increase of what was about $800 a student.
About $400 per student added to the student allotment. That's per student funding. And even the Texas comptroller, a Republican elect, said that it needed to be about $1,300 added rather than the $400, just to catch up with that 2019 inflation. Representative Tallarico was on the back mic questioning Chairman Buckley literally about that and got it on record, put it in the journal. That'll be there for history to test it. But my goodness, it didn't look good. It didn't look good for Republicans.
But doesn't that sound good? Doesn't that sound great? The fact that these kids got resources and people say, well, KT, you brought up in our meeting, some people say, oh, I don't have kids. But you're going to have to deal with these people no matter what. They're going to grow up to be adults that run gas stations, and they're going to be clerks, and they're going to be carpenters, and they're going to be scholars. And you want them to be prepared and not hungry when they're learning so they can learn. And you want them to make sure they can go home and feel safe. And you want them to be provided for. Texas, the state, can provide so much for the children of Texas. Education is like the most important thing to me. I've learned that all the good things in my life have come from a good education and from my parents emphasizing good education. And so the fact that we are suffering and that we're not first place in any one of the metrics in terms of education because of what? We don't have money?
This shouldn't be controversial. Like, taking care of our kids, feeding our kids, educating our kids. Like, when did this become contentious? Why are we fighting about this? Doesn't make sense.
There's a shift that has happened where education is no longer seen as a public good that's good for our entire society. It's become a commodity that should go to the highest bidder. And that's what, all those things that Sam is talking about, all those great, that utopian educational scenario, that great environment that we wish that all of our kids could have, the people who are calling the shots at the Capitol and at the U.S. Capitol as well, they think of that as something that goes to those who can afford it. And those people are their peers. Those are the circles that they run in. And so it's a basic philosophical disconnect that has happened, to where we've lost sight of the fact that having a well-educated society, all of us, is for all of our better good. I'll stop maybe just short of the idea that they want us to be stupid so we're easier to control, but that's actually not all that far-fetched anymore once we see what all has been happening. So to me, it's two different ways of seeing the world, and the people who are running the show right now see the world very differently from those of us who still think that it's a good thing to have a smart society.
Sam, what you're proposing is just basic pro-family policies.
Right.
Republicans talk about the importance of the family and the importance of having children, and let's get that birth rate up. Okay, then let's fully fund our public schools. Let's expand healthcare access for all Texans and make it easier to have a family in Texas and in America. We don't have paid time off. There are just so many easy policy changes that are going to be cost beneficial for all of us to do. So what you're talking about should be adopted by the people who say that their goals are more kiddos, stronger families, stronger communities. And those are possibilities, and those are happening in other states where progressives run the government.
That's right. And, something that progressives are leading on to are responses to what is going on at the Capitol right now, whether it's this voucher bill or anything else. And what I've been seeing, I know there was a Texas Tribune article this week that noted that about 50 Democrats have signed on in the Texas House to stop anything as far as constitutional amendments, which need 2/3 of that body to be able to pass on to Texas voters. And side note, that's what Democrats were trying to push this voucher bill to be, was a constitutional amendment so that Texas voters could vote on this. But we're literally this morning working to try to see what that list is. We've reached out to a few different offices. Some of the leaders in the House, we're looking to see if it's Chairman Wu's office or Representative Tallarico that is organizing that. There's literally just 12 Democrats outside of that list of 50, although we don't have the list yet. But we'll get that to you as soon as we can, because really we want to turn this into action as well, to be able to unite those Democrats together, to be able to lift up the ones that are going to hold up those Republican constitutional amendments. And one in particular I want to highlight is one that's going to be going back to the Senate here soon. So it's either HJR 4 or SJR 50, and it's literally going to ban security taxes. That's like stock market broker taxes. So in many other states right now, at least a half dozen or so, they're starting to put in a 0.5% or 1% tax on these stock market transactions. They literally could raise, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars for public schools, for parks, for roads, for every type of infrastructure you can think of. But instead, we're going to do a regressive tax system, and we're going to raise sales tax. We're going to have to raise property taxes, even though Republicans say that they're fighting that. But that is literally one place that we can band together. There's going to be a vote in the next week or so in the Senate that's going to allow that to go to Texas voters. Now, we can also stop it there, but it is so hard to get Texas voters to say, no, we'd actually like to be taxed. But remember, this isn't a tax for you. This is literally huge companies like Fidelity or Merrill Lynch or the Wall Street banks. That's who we're trying to tax. It's not Joe Schmo or Joe Garcia on the street here. And so we'll be getting out lists to y'all later today or, in the coming week to be able to make sure that you have actions and know how your senator is going to vote, or if your House member is going to hold up those Republican Party constitutional amendments. And so we want to give you action this week too. That's one thing I know Progress Texas is known for too.
Absolutely. And I would like to take a moment to say thank you to our listener, and to note to our listener that he or she may not realize this, but there are so many more of you these days. We've been looking at the metrics that we get back from our hosting platforms for this podcast. We have really, really, really been growing, and we're very, very happy about that. To me, and we've talked about this internally, I feel as though there is some sort of an awakening going on. We're seeing really scary things happening at the White House. We're seeing all sorts of bad things happening at the Texas State Capitol. I feel like, and I really hope, that there are a lot of people who had perhaps not been paying very close attention to politics. We happen to live in a society where that is an option. And many people just don't, they just tune it out. They got other stuff they're more fascinated with, or they're just not paying attention. In a free society, unfortunately, that is an option that is too readily adopted by too many people. There are too many people who are tuned out. Now that there are frightening things happening at various levels, I feel like there are more people who are paying attention. And so if that's you, if you're one of the people who has jumped on the PT bandwagon over just the last little while, welcome and thank you so much for being here. But don't absorb our materials as entertainment. Absorb our materials as education, which is something we're talking about today, and take it upon yourself to spread those messages to people who are around you who may still be tuned out. This is a moment where, everybody kind of operates in their own sort of media sphere. Everybody's plugged into what they have chosen to take in. We're at a moment where just personal interactions and personal conversations and, oh, did you hear about this? And, oh, did you hear about that? Those things are so important right now because people will listen to other people whom they trust, people who are friends or family or neighbors. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your neighbors about all these things that we're talking about. It's not about head nodding. It's not about agreeing necessarily. Everybody's still free to have their own opinion and their own nuanced sort of take on everything that we're talking about here. But please, please, please talk to your people about all these things that we're discussing.
Absolutely. We believe here at Progress Texas that changing the narrative is the first step. And so starting those conversations at home is a crucial thing that you can do to make change in your community with your family, friends, neighbors, workers, beyond. Another thing that you can do is you can vote. You always hear it, just vote. Don't just vote, do a lot more than that. But it is a really important part of the civic engagement process. On that note, we actually just covered a really important bill two bills this ledge, the Texas Voting Rights Act. That's House Bills 2082 and 5258. Definitely go check that out. We've got some voting rights experts on there. And I'd love to plug our very helpful voter navigation resource as May municipal elections are coming up. Early voting starts next week, April 22nd. And definitely go check out our resource, govotexas.org. It has helpful resources on ID requirements, which have been a national topic here in the Texas legislature. How to register, and helplines for you and your friends that need a little bit of help checking things out.
Take care of yourself.
Yes. Get outside. Again, talk to your folks. Take care of yourselves. We do have a fight ahead. And thanks again for listening very much. We appreciate it. Once again, we are highly gratified by the growth that we're seeing in all of our different offerings that we do here at Progress Texas. And that don't happen without you. So thank you very, very much.
Thank y'all. Have a beautiful weekend, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.